Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is not going to be a review video because I actually did not watch this show. So, I did not watch this show. I watched about, 5 minutes of it last night, like 5 to 10 minutes of it last night. There was a show on ABC that premiered last night called The Assets. And, just from that title alone, something sounded familiar to me. Why? Because that sounds familiar to the Americans. Now, the Americans is a show on FX that I recently started watching that I'm really enjoying. I think that's a really good show, and it's definitely one of my favorite shows on TV right now. I think that's a fantastic show. So when I heard about the plot for The Assets, I'm like, this is like the same show. The difference is that The Americans is about KGB officers pretending to be Russians, basically, and The Assets is about, it's about KGB officers who are Russians who are pretending to be Americans. That's what The Americans is about. The Assets is about this woman who's an American agent, but she's working with the Russians. The difference, the problem here, though, is that I do not like this show, The Assets. I do not like it because it is almost exactly similar to The Americans, and that is why I turned it off 10 minutes in. And I'm going to explain to you guys why. The Assets starts off almost the exact same way The Americans started off in their first episode. Almost the exact same way. You had some sort of a chase scene going on, and it was like really intense music and everything. The Americans did it a lot better, though. It was much more developed. It was much better, in my opinion. And then, after that happened, after that chase scene, we have a whole scene about KGB officers, and it sounded like these, in the exact same scene from The Americans. So, my problem is that I think ABC is trying to just make this show as good as The Americans, but the problem is it's not as good because the performances are very dry, and while The Americans, it's not boring because the acting is amazing, everyone's amazing in that show. The Assets, however, is boring. I'm going to say that. It is boring. I turned it off 10 minutes because I was bored. That's how bad The Assets is. It's trying to be exactly like The Americans, but it's nothing, it's nothing, to the quality of that show. It's not like it at all. And, if you were to come up to me and say, oh, it's different. No, it's not different. I saw the first two scenes. They were, exactly the same. The only difference is that The Americans is just better developed than The Assets. And the reason is because FX knows how to make quality programming. ABC, it is not the best network for quality programming. And I just don't think this show is necessary. I realize it's an 8-part miniseries. Yeah, whatever. Fine, 8-part miniseries, that's fine. Fine. But I don't see the point of this show. Why did you do it? Are you trying to be like The Americans? Are you trying to give us a show while we wait for The Americans to come back? Is that what you're doing? If you want to do that, fine. But don't make a show FX could have easily done that. FX is already doing that. So why are you stealing something that FX already came up with? I kind of feel like they're stealing something. Now, I realize The Assets is based off a book. But come on. You could have at least made this before The Americans. Then I would have thought The Americans were stealing from The Assets, and that would be a whole different situation. The other problem I have with this show is that it's not, as I said, it's not very exciting, and it's just not that good, in my opinion. Plus, you have star power in The Americans. Kerry Russell and Matthew Reyes are both fantastic in The Americans. In The Assets, there is nobody in this cast I know. I don't know the main guy, I don't know the main girl. And the other thing, the guy looks exactly like what happens when Philip in The Americans, played by Matthew Reyes, dresses up as, I can't think of his name right now. I can't think of his name right now, but when he dresses up, when he's in disguise on The Americans, that's exactly what this guy looks like. And it's just way too similar, in my opinion. Way too similar. And I'm not a fan of that at all. I don't think that was a good decision, and I think it was stupid. However, if you want to make this show not like the Americans, don't talk about KGB officers. Don't mention the same things that the Americans are doing. Just go with a completely different plot and do something different. They're not really doing anything different except for the plot change. That's the only difference with this show. Plus, it's just not as exciting in my opinion. There's not as much going on with it. Because with the Americans, not only do you have the Russian spies, but you also have Stan, who's the guy who's trying to get down the Russian spies. But now he might become one because, you know, he's with a Russian spy right now. And then you have the kids who are also starting to figure out about, you know, the Russian spy. That their parents could be Russian spies. You know, they're starting to figure that out as well. This show is just not like that. It's not as good in my opinion, and it just is an unnecessary show. I really do. I think it was an unnecessary show, an unnecessary move, and I just did not think this show was necessary. So yeah, that's it for this video. Maybe you guys did enjoy the show. I'm hearing most people say that basically if you did not watch The Americans, you might enjoy the show. If you've seen The Americans and, you know, you want to see the show, don't do it. It's not going to be good. It's not really a good idea, and you're not going to enjoy it as much. So, if you've seen The Americans, that's all you need to see, really. You don't need to see this show. I tuned into this show because I wanted to see how much it was like The Americans, because I knew I was going to do a video like this. I knew my video was going to be comparing it to The Americans. That's what I'm going to do, and that's why I'm not watching the show, and that's just why I just don't think the show is necessary. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay, bye.